Ready?
Yes.
We're going to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order on May 17th, 2017. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mayor Donches.
Here.
Alderman Cookson.
Present.
Alderman Wilshire.
Here.
Alderman O'Brien.
Present.
Alderman Clemmons.
Here.
Alderman Karen.
Here.
Alderman Siegel, I am present.
First item is public comment. If there is any member of the public who wishes to address the committee, just please come forward. And I don't see anyone, so we will go to communications.
Communication from Mayor Donches regarding change orders related to West Wing renovation. I'd like to make a motion, accept, and place on file.
Heard the motion. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion, communication from Tim Cummings, Director of Economic Development, regarding notice of contract scope change. I'd like to make a motion, accept, and place on file.
Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes.
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding NPD ammunition FY 2017, value $40,097. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Eagle Point T.J. Morris & Son in the amount of $40,097. Funds are available in Department 150, National Police Department General Fund.
Alderman Cookson.
Thank you, Mayor Donches. Mr. Kuchen, my understanding is, and when I was on finance previously, I thought that the police department used to purchase their ammunition locally.
They did. The vendor in Hooksett that had the prior contract lost that about a year plus ago.
Okay.
So they've been buying from the other source.
All right. And then I know that with that vendor in Hooksett, that they also had the opportunity to return empty casings. Is the same true with this vendor that's out of New Jersey?
I don't know on that. I'd have to check and get back to you, but I can certainly do that.
Do we know what they're doing with their empty casings?
I do not.
Okay.
Any other discussion? So Mr. Kuchen will get back to Alderman Cookson on the casings. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding 2017 low-floor cutaway van procurement for Nashua Transit, value $758,790. I'd like to make a motion, accept, place on file, and award the contract to DATCO in the amount of $758,790. Source of funding is Department 186 Transportation Transit Grants.
Any discussion on this motion? Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make it clear to the listening public that the city is not on the hook for that $758,790. We're only on the hook for about $56,000 of that, and the rest of it is the Federal Transportation Administration money. It's been squirreled away, so nobody gasps.
Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is on number 4, the purchase price of the buses. I see we have one price for 6 and then one price for the option to get 3 more. Is that because we got so many vans, or potential to get so many vans, so we get a good price, a deal for the number that we're purchasing, and so the option would be reflected in the next 3?
Yes.
Beautiful.
And Ms. Marchant is here, arrived just in time to answer any questions regarding the bus system or the bus purchase. Any other discussion? Alderman Cookson.
Thank you. So, some of the funding is also coming from the state. And so I'm curious, are there any hesitations about those funds? Will they be coming? Is there any reason why they wouldn't come to benefit the purchase of these vehicles?
Ms. Marchant.
The funding from the state has been secured, and so we do fully expect that to come, yes.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You don't think the state makes good on all its commitments? You have some
I just
doubts?
thought they'd
You have-
give us another bill
you're
for like $2 million.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding 25 Crown Street Park and Ride Construction Engineering Services, value $169,229. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and authorize the contract extension with McFarland Johnson in the amount of $169,229. Funds are available in Department 181, Community Development, New Hampshire DOT Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Program.
Comments? Alderman Cookson.
I know why we're doing this. I don't agree with the expenditure of the funds. And so I won't be supporting it. But again, I understand the long-range goal and why we have to do it. So,
And just for explanation, this is federal money we're spending here.
Correct.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
nay.
And the motion passes. Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding 25 Crown Street Park and Ride Construction, value $1,653,175. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and contingent upon Board of Aldermen approval, award the contract to George R. Karen and Sons, Incorporated, in the amount of $1,653,175. Source of funding is Department 181, Community Development, New Hampshire DOT, Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Program.
Discussion? Again, these are federal funds we're spending.
This is 100% federal funds or toll credits. Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
This has to go back to the full Board of Aldermen for approval, is that correct?
Yes.
It's more than $1 million.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
Can I give a quick explanation there? If we don't finish this project, we have to buy the property back from the money we already spent. So just as a caveat in there.
Anything else? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Communicate, yep.
Thank you, Ms. Marchand.
Sorry about that. Jumping the gun there.
Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding skate park lighting, value not to exceed $20,000. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and contingent upon Board of Public Works approval, award the contract to SK and Associates in an amount not to exceed $20,000. Source of funding is Department 161 Street, General Fund.
Now, I think we skipped,
Back to it, can't
well,
we?
yeah, let's just take this out of order since you
Oh,
made
I'm
the
sorry.
motion. It's all right.
Keep writing
So
there.
we're on the skateboard, we're on the skate
My
park
bad.
lighting. Any discussion? Alderman Wilshire.
Just a question. I was over there the other day doing some cleanup at Mine Falls and noticed that it's under construction. Do you know what the completion date is for that?
I do not.
You don't? Okay.
We're trying to do it by July 1, but we think
Okay.
that in the end, probably it won't make it, but that it will be, not that long after July 1. So there probably will be a short period of several weeks between which there will be neither skateboard park, because the other skateboard park is going to be destroyed or dismantled in late June, and then this one will probably replace it sometime in later in July.
Thank you.
Alderman Cookson.
Thank you. I was curious, as we're investigating lighting of the skateboard park, what the lighting is of that entire general area. Parking lot of the Y, Stellos, leading up to the skateboard park. And was curious if it makes more sense to have a holistic plan for the entire area in conjunction with what we're doing, so that there's consistency, that everything's well lit back there, because I believe that the goal of this is ultimately to make it a sports recreation center. So it would be ideal to have consistent lighting to make the whole area look appealing.
And I can get an answer, but I'm not totally aware of what the rest of the lighting scheme is for the Y and the remainder of the parking lot.
Well, and we own that the parking area is the city's responsibility, correct?
Correct. Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things that's pointed out in the contract and the description of what's been going on is there's specialized lighting associated with the skate park because of the curves, the balls, and the dips. So in a way, I understand your concern about it being holistic, but this is actually some specialized lighting for that particular application. It's a little bit separate, but it's worth looking into the whole
No, I
picture.
absolutely agree with Alderman Siegel. For the use that it's being considered for, I agree with that. But I'm saying, again, overall, we want to make the whole area appealing. We want to make sure that it's well lit. And so therefore, if there's, you know, very similar to the lighting that we did on the bridge on Main Street, and that is, we tried to make the posts similar to that period or other light posts. So is there the opportunity to replicate or scale this up so that we could, not in this particular instance, can we look at the entire plan for the entire area so that everything looks consistent and well put together instead of just ad hoc?
And are you saying you'd like to get that report before you vote, or you'd just like to get that report in general?
I would like to get that report in general. I don't think this has to hold up, but I don't know if anybody's considered the lighting for the entire area versus just this one specific instance.
All right.
So, and that's why I bring that up.
We can definitely get you that report, that information. Alderman Siegel.
Thank you. Just very, very briefly, I would note that while it is good for us to know that, that's a BPW function. We don't control that. So,
But we can still,
Well, as the chairman of BPW and the liaison to the BPW, I would desire that you take that back to them. Thank you.
there's no problem in getting getting back to you on that subject. All right, so I believe the motion pending is to approve the contract. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alderman Siegel.
now I'm going to do my job and backtrack to where I should have been originally. Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding outside services appraiser, value not to exceed $35,000. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Valuation Research Counseling in an amount not to exceed $35,000. Funds are available in Department 132 Assessing General Overlay.
And John Duhamel, who's the chief assessor, is here, so why doesn't Mr. Duhamel come up in case we have any questions about this? Is there any discussion, any questions concerning this motion? Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Mr. Duhamel, kind of been an alderman just for a short time, a couple of years here, but this is standard procedure. This is the first time I've seen something like this come before this board. So can you just explain? Because you're up on several points on other ones that are coming up as well too.
Yeah,
So
we
just a
need-
brief overview what it means.
Yeah, Brady Sullivan Properties appealing some of their values to Superior Court, and we need to have appraisals done to defend those values.
Okay.
Anyone else? Alderman Cooks.
I just want to add, I want to thank Mr. Duhamel for bringing forward this particular vendor who specializes or has the ability to defend cases.
He's
And I thought that was one of the selling points of this particular vendor, and so I would absolutely support this.
Thank you.
And in furtherance of the same point, in the litigation with the hotel down in the south end, the Radisson, the city, several years ago, were, we lost the case against them, a lot of money involved, in part because we did not call an expert other than the assessor for the city. and that's a mistake we should not repeat. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I think that's all that Mr. Duhamel has, so thank you very much. Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding 2017 sewer replacement program, value $3,255,683. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and contingent upon Board of Alderman approval, award the contract to DeFelice Corporation in the amount of $3,255,683. Funds are available in Department 169 wastewater sewer rehab.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding asset pavement management services, value $50,000. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Stantec Consulting Services in the amount of $50,000. Source of funding is Department 160 Administration Engineering Paving Bond.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding pavement management engineering services, value $245,000. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Hayner Swanson Incorporated in the amount of $245,000. Funds are available in Department 160, Administration Engineering Paving Bond.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding castings purchased for the 2017 street paving program, value $58,104. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and award the contract to E.J. Prescott Incorporated in the amount of $58,104. Source of funding is Department 169 wastewater sewer structures.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Communication from Dan Kuchen, Purchasing Manager, regarding change order number 1, retaining wall block for a skateboard park, value $9,281. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and authorize change order 1 in the amount of $9,281 to Mishi Corporation. Funds are available in Department 161 Street General Fund.
You've heard the motion. Any discussion? Alderman Cookson.
Thank you. This, like Alderman Wilshire was saying earlier, construction's happening over at the skate park. It is relatively new construction. They put up the retaining wall. What constitutes the change this early in the project?
It says right in there.
Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It says right in the documentation for the change order. At the time, they weren't aware of how much wall structure they would need to properly fit up the retaining wall. They had to go in there and see the site conditions. They have the exact same blocks, so it's actually now cost effective and it matches. And now that they know, that's what that's about.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Unfinished business, none. New business resolutions.
R17099, approving a First Amendment to Tower Replacement Agreement with Verizon Wireless. I'd like to make a motion to recommend final passage.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. New business ordinances, we have none. Is there a motion on the record of expenditures?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that the Finance Committee has complied with the city charter and ordinances pertaining to the record of expenditures for the period April 14, 2017 to April 27, 2017, and April 28, 2017 to May 11, 2017.
Any discussion? Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had 2 items, and I sent it a very late email to Mr. Griffin, which I apologize for. I noticed that we have a lot of charges to Motel 6. It's kind of interesting on the credit card there. And we have a very, very large workman's comp settlement, I noticed, out of the risk pool. Not that, you know, we can veto that or anything. It is what it is, but I'm not used to seeing that. like $104,000 workman's comp settlement. That's pretty heavy duty.
Mr. Griffin?
Taking the Motel 6 first, a few months ago, Motel 6 would not do business with the city unless it was on a credit card. So in the record of expenditure that Alderman Siegel is referencing, there's 17 separate vouchers that the welfare clients were put up at Motel 6. But late breaking news, well, Motel 6 had an issue, I believe, in Braintree, Mass. So corporate-wide, they will no longer accept welfare vouchers. So, but just back maybe a year or so ago, they used to bill us monthly, and it was in the neighborhood of $5,000 per month. So it did look odd that there was 17 credit card charges. With respect to the over $100,000 workers' comp claim, that was a what's called an impairment judgment made by the Department of Labor at the state. And risk manager DeShay can get into a lot more detail than I know, but it was for an individual that it's based on wages. It's based on the severity of the impairment as well as wages. So that kicked it up over the $100,000 mark. But she could definitely get into a little bit more detail when you go into non-public.
Okay, thank you. It's just more of curiosity. I'm not used to seeing numbers like that in that
Right.
pool, so.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman O'Brien?
Yeah, I'm concerned with not having a vendor like Motel 6. We're looking for somebody else that'll accept the vouchers in the city.
Welfare Officer Mack, he would be able to respond to that. He just found out this Motel 6 thing.
So it's
this
late
week.
breaking, yeah, okay.
We've had trouble with Motel 6 with regard to how they want to be paid. And that's why we went with the credit card. But it's our preference is that we trade the vouchers for a check monthly, not credit cards. But we had just put that in place to serve our clients. But Mr. Mack, I'm sure, is looking for alternatives.
Yeah, I know, follow up if I may, I know
Yes.
you don't have the complete answer, but regardless of Motel 6, I doubt if the need is going away. That's what I have concern about.
Right.
Any other discussion on the record of expenditures? All those in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Griffin. We now have public comment, and I don't see, thank you, Mr. Kuchen. I don't see any members of the public. General discussion, do any of the committee members have any discussion items? Now we are in non-public session. We have a couple of cases that Ms. DeShay is going to discuss with us. Alderman Siegel.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that the Finance Committee go into non-public session by roll call pursuant to RSA 91A32E to consider a pending general liability settlement filed against the city. We need a second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded now by Alderman Wilshire. Is there any discussion on the motion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor Donches.
Yes.
Alderman Cookson.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderman Siegel, I say yes.
All right, so our TV people should now turn the meeting off.
At